and welcome back to Talk About It Tuesday. This is Season 5, Episode 9. Today we're addressing a topic that's been all over the news, the Hockey Canada trial. This case has sparked national conversation about sexual harm, power in sports, and the way that survivors are treated, especially in the court of public opinion and also in the courtroom. Today we'll be joined with Samantha Robel, our community educator. Here at the center, we're going to unpack everything, including how we recognize victim blaming and why that is so harmful and how we can push back against it. As a heads up, this episode discusses sexual harm and media coverage of the case, so if you need to pause or come back to it later, please take care of yourself and remember the center is always here to support you. Okay, to start us off, for those who might not know much about the trial, can you give us a quick overview of the Hockey Canada case and why this is such a big moment nationally?
Absolutely. So in 2018, a young woman, who we're going to reference as EM, alleged that she was sexually assaulted by multiple members of Canada's World Junior Hockey Team after a Hockey Canada gala that happened in London, Ontario. The case did become public in 2022 when a civil lawsuit was settled out of court by Hockey Canada using money from a special fund that is sourced in part by the player registration fees.
So we've been hearing a lot of really concerning things in the media and online comments. Things like, why didn't she come forward sooner? She went into their room. What did she expect? These are classic examples of victim blaming. Why is it that people fall into this kind of thinking, and what's the problem with it?
Yeah, absolutely. So there is so much harm in victim blaming, but some of the noticeable areas are discomfort with power and privilege. So if the accused are powerful and or admired, like star athletes, some people instinctively protect them. It's easier to cast doubt on the victim than confront the reality that those we look up to can cause harm. As well, there's fear of accountability. So acknowledging sexual violence often means questioning our communities, institutions, or even people we know. Victim blaming can be a way of avoiding that discomfort.
One thing that keeps coming up is how power and status, especially in sports, play a role in these dynamics. How does that complicate consent, and what should we be looking at instead of focusing on what the survivor did or didn't do?
Yeah, so from the perspective of a sexual assault center, we see time and time again how power and status, especially in high-profile institutions like sports, can deeply complicate consent and contribute to harmful dynamics. So we see a power and a status imbalance. So consent must be freely given, informed, and enthusiastic. But when one person holds significant amounts of power due to their celebrity, authority, or their team status, it can be incredibly difficult for someone with less power to say no or to feel safe even doing so. This is especially true in contexts where the powerful person is surrounded by others who enable or protect them. It's also important to note that coercion isn't always overt. So in many of the cases we see, survivors weren't physically forced, but they felt pressured, manipulated, or intimidated. When someone's livelihood, reputation, or safety feels at risk, especially in spaces dominated by hierarchies like sports, yes might not really mean yes. So consent under fear of pressure is not always true consent. We also need to shift the focus away from the survivor. So too often, public disclosures focus on the survivor's actions. Why did they go there? Why didn't they leave? Why didn't they report sooner? This reinforces that victim blaming mentality and ignores the core issue of the problem. The behavior and choice of the person who abused their power. That's what the core issue is. So instead, we should be asking questions like, what enabled the person with power to believe they could act this way without consequences? What systems or cultures allowed this harm to go unchallenged? And then how do we build environments where people with less power feel safe and supported?
For survivors who might be following this case or even avoiding it because it feels too close to home, what are some messages of support we can share with them right now?
Yeah, so sports culture often rewards silence, loyalty, and toughness. These are values that can discourage speaking out or reporting abuse. So it's vital to create a culture where players, coaches, and institutions understand what consent really means, recognize abuse of power, and are held accountable. At a sexual assault center, we work to center the survivor's experience, challenge these harmful norms, and push for systemic change, not just individual punishment. This includes advocating for trauma-informed responses, prevention, education, and survivor-led justice. So some statements that you can make are, you're not alone. We believe you. And this is your experience to share or not share. But there is support for you.
For folks listening who want to be part of the change, how can we interrupt victim blaming when we hear it? And what are some small but powerful things that people can do?
So it's important that we speak up even when it is uncomfortable. We can reframe the narrative, help others understand that consent is never implied by someone's clothing, their past, or their actions. We can believe and validate survivors. We can say things like, I believe you, it wasn't your fault. We can help to redirect that conversation and have open conversations about consent.
Thank you. Well, thank you so much for being here today, and we will see you on the next episode with the season finale.
Bye, guys. If you or someone you know is feeling impacted by the Hockey Canada trial that is currently going on, know that you are always welcome to reach out to the center. Our phone number is 519-337-3154, and a counselor is here and ready to talk if you want to.